I still remember the day Derek and I signed the lease, or what I thought was a lease. We had just gotten married a month earlier, and everything felt like a dream. New rings, new beginnings, and now, a new apartment. Derek, my husband, was 33, charming, funny, and smart in that confident, almost too sure kind of way. I was 30, finally feeling like I'd found my person. When he told me he found a 2-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of town, I was thrilled. He said it was a family friend's place and we'd be getting a good deal on the rent. I didn't question it. Why would I? We were partners now, married, and starting fresh. Trust was a given. This is perfect, I told him as we walked through the apartment for the first time. It had hardwood floors, big windows, and a kitchen that actually made me want to cook. Derek smiled and wrapped an arm around my shoulders. Told you I had connections, he said, like he was proud to give me this moment. We sat down that evening and talked about how we'd handle bills. We agreed on 50/50ths from the start. Rent, utilities, groceries. Everything. It felt fair. We were equals, and I didn't want money fights messing with our happiness. I sent him $700 on the first of every month without fail, for the rent alone, and we split the rest of the bills too. That's how it went for the next 2 years. Looking back, there were small signs. Like how we never got actual receipts or statements from a landlord. I thought maybe the family friend was just casual with paperwork. And Derek was always the one who communicated with the landlord, never me. Anytime I asked something like, "Can we paint the bedroom?" he'd say, "I'll ask." I figured he was just trying to make things easier. Every time I transferred the rent money, I felt like we were being responsible. Building something together. Doing life like real adults. I remember once suggesting that we could maybe buy a place in the future. "This apartment's so good, I almost wouldn't want to leave," I joked. Derek had just nodded, said something vague like, "Yeah, it's a great investment." At the time, I didn't even catch the weirdness of that answer. And then there was his mom, Linda. She'd stop by from time to time. Always smiling, always warm, but never too curious about me. She never really asked how I was doing or what I was working on. Her attention was laser-focused on Derek. She'd bring him food, little gifts, even once fixed up the guest bathroom on her own dime. I figured that was just how some moms are. A little too involved. But again, I brushed it off. I didn't want to be the wife who couldn't get along with her mother-in-law. So I kept smiling, kept being kind. I never had a clue. Not even when Linda made an offhand joke once during dinner, something like, "It's good to keep the money in the family." I laughed with her. I didn't understand what she meant. How could I? Everything seemed normal. Safe. Comfortable. 2 years. That's how long I paid rent without question. That's how long I believed we were splitting the cost of someone else's property. And that's how long I thought Derek was being honest with me, about everything. I had no idea that behind that charming smile, behind all those "I've got it handled" responses, there was a secret he had no intention of telling me. Not until I found out by accident. And when I did, everything changed. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. One of those rare perfect weather days when people actually want to hang out outside. Derek's cousin had invited us to a family barbecue. I wasn't exactly excited. These things were usually a chance for everyone to talk over each other while Derek disappeared with the guys, but I went anyway. I smiled, helped with the food, made small talk. The usual. Linda, of course, was there. Dressed in pastel pink with her signature pearl earrings, floating around the backyard like she owned the place, which honestly, she might have. I didn't pay her much attention at first. I was too busy trying not to spill coleslaw on myself. Then I heard her laugh. That specific, smug kind of laugh that people do when they think they've gotten away with something. I was a few feet away from the patio, standing by the drink cooler, when I heard her talking to Derek's aunt. "Oh, it's just so smart how we kept it in the family," Linda was saying. "Getting rent from that apartment has made things so much easier for us. Derek's place has really been a blessing." I froze. What? Derek's place? I leaned closer, pretending to look for a drink. My ears were burning, my heart suddenly pounding in my chest. Linda kept going, completely unaware that I was right there. And the best part is, we didn't even need to list it or deal with strangers. It's all been right under one roof. Derek's aunt chuckled. "Smart girl, Linda. Keeping it in the family really does pay off." I don't remember grabbing the soda can. I don't remember walking away. I just remember my brain spinning. What did she just say? Rent. Their apartment? Blessing? I pulled Derek aside near the side gate of the yard. My voice was calm, but my hands were shaking. Hey, your mom said something weird just now, I said, trying not to sound as panicked as I felt. She said something about getting rent from our apartment. What does that mean? Derek blinked at me like I'd just asked him to solve a math equation. What? I repeated it. Slower this time. He shrugged. Oh. Well, yeah. My mom owns the apartment. Technically, I'm on the deed too. Silence. I just stared at him. I couldn't even form words. My mouth opened, then closed again. Finally, I managed, You're what? It's not a big deal, he said, like we were talking about a parking ticket. You never asked. It's not like we were overpaying. I felt my face flush with heat. Are you seriously saying that you own the apartment we've been living in for 2 years, and you never thought to tell me? He frowned. Rachel, come on. Don't make it a thing. We were splitting rent, like we agreed. I just didn't think it mattered. Didn't matter. 2 years of me sending $700 a month. Over $16,000 total. To my own husband and his mother. And it didn't matter. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my mind. Every time I sent him money, every joke Linda made that now felt loaded, every time Derek brushed off questions about the lease or the landlord. All of it. The signs had been there, I just didn't want to see them. I sat on the couch at 2 a.m., staring into the dark living room, feeling like a complete idiot. It wasn't just the money. It was the fact that he had lied by omission. That he let me walk through life thinking we were equals, when in reality, he was quietly pocketing my share of the rent, or giving it to his mother. I didn't know which was worse. The next morning, I told him I wanted to have a serious talk. He rolled his eyes. Rachel, this is just drama. Why are you acting like I stole from you? Because you did, I said, voice trembling. You let me believe something that wasn't true. You lied. You made me think we were building a life together, and the whole time, I was just your tenant. That shut him up. For a second. Then he said, You're overreacting. It's not like we're profiting off you. We still have expenses. We're married, it all goes to the same place anyway. But it didn't feel like it went to the same place. It felt like it went behind my back. I told him I wouldn't be sending another cent until we had a real conversation about fairness. About honesty. About trust. He stormed out. And just like that, I went from being a wife to a problem. For 3 days, Derek barely spoke to me. He slammed cabinets, muttered under his breath, and gave me those passive-aggressive "you've ruined everything" looks every time we crossed paths in the apartment. Our apartment. Or apparently, his apartment. I spent those days in a haze, trying to untangle everything that had happened. I kept thinking, was I stupid? Was I too trusting? Or was he just that good at hiding things? Every little moment from the past 2 years now felt suspicious. Like how he always insisted on handling the utilities. How he'd get annoyed when I asked questions about our lease. Or how Linda once brought over new light fixtures and installed them without asking. I used to think they were just being helpful. Now it felt like they were marking territory. Like I was a guest in their space. And the worst part? I'd worked hard during those 2 years. I'd picked up extra shifts. I passed on vacations. I was careful with my money because I thought Derek and I were saving for a future. Maybe a house. Maybe a baby one day. I was playing the long game, investing in us. He was playing Monopoly with me. I finally called my sister, Megan. She was the one person who always told it like it was. As soon as I finished explaining what happened, she said, That's financial abuse, Rach. You've been paying rent to your own husband without knowing he owned the place. That's not just shady. That's manipulative. I'd never thought of it that way. Financial abuse? That sounded extreme. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I wasn't just angry. I was humiliated. And hurt. So I sat Derek down. Again. We need to talk, I said, this time without the emotion. I was tired. I wanted facts, not feelings. He sighed and tossed his phone on the couch. Again? Rachel, how many times do we have to go over this? Until I understand why you thought it was okay to lie to me for 2 years, I said. Until you admit that what you did wasn't just some oversight. He rubbed his temples. It wasn't a lie. It was just a technicality. My voice cracked. A technicality? Derek, you're on the deed. You let me pay you rent. That's not a technicality. That's deception. He finally looked me in the eyes. Okay, fine. I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd freak out. Why would I freak out if it was all above board? He didn't have an answer. That silence told me everything I needed to know. Eventually, he tried to spin it like it was some sort of favor. We needed the money, Rachel. We still had bills. You living here wasn't free for us. You're acting like we were living off you. I blinked. We were splitting everything, Derek. If you had just told me the truth, we could have worked something out. I wouldn't have minded contributing to our home. But you made me think I was paying a stranger. You made me feel like a tenant. He scoffed. You're being dramatic. That's when I stood up. I wasn't crying anymore. I was done begging him to understand. Dramatic is lying to your wife for 2 years and then acting like she's the problem when she finds out, I said. Dramatic is letting your mom profit off me while smiling to my face. Dramatic is thinking this is still a marriage when I can't even trust the ground I'm standing on. He didn't stop me when I walked out of the room. Didn't follow me. Didn't apologize. I knew then, this wasn't just about rent. This was about power. He liked the control. He liked knowing that I was dependent. That I didn't ask too many questions. That I trusted him blindly. He liked the setup. And he never planned to change it. That night, I packed a bag and slept at Megan's. It wasn't permanent, not yet. But it felt like the start of something I should have done a long time ago. Because love without honesty isn't love. It's control in disguise. The first morning I woke up at Megan's place, I felt strangely light. No tension in my shoulders. No walking on eggshells. No feeling like I had to explain why I was upset or justify my own emotions. Just quiet. I made coffee. Sat on her couch in my pajamas. And for the first time in a long time, I asked myself, what do I want? Because for the last 2 years, it was always about we. About keeping the peace. About building a future with a man who, it turned out, had built his half on secrets. I knew then, I couldn't go back. That weekend, I scheduled a meeting with a lawyer. I didn't know yet if I wanted a divorce. But I needed to know my rights. Financially. Legally. Emotionally. I wasn't going to make decisions in the dark anymore. The lawyer listened to my story and then said something that stuck with me. You were contributing financially to a property he co-owns with his mother. You weren't just paying rent, you were helping build equity in a home you had no claim to. That's not just morally questionable, that's financial exploitation. I felt sick again. Like I'd been tricked into investing in someone else's dream. Someone who had no intention of including me in it. Back at Megan's, I started going over my bank records. $700 a month. For 24 months. That's $16,800. $16,800 I gave to my own husband thinking I was being a responsible, equal partner. Money I could have used for a down payment. For paying off my student loans. For starting a savings account with my name on it. Instead, it lined Linda's pockets. I texted Derek and said I wanted to meet in a public place. I needed to stay calm, and I didn't trust myself to do that at the apartment. We met at a coffee shop 2 days later. He looked tired, like he hadn't been sleeping. I didn't care. Have you really thought about what you did to me? I asked, calmly. He leaned back. Rachel, I've been thinking about it non-stop. But I still don't get why this is worth throwing everything away. I stared at him, stunned. You took money from me. Lied about who owned the apartment. Never gave me a choice. And now you're mad that I'm walking away. He leaned in, voice low. We were building a life. Together. You were helping. Helping who? I snapped. You? Your mom? I thought I was helping us. But there was no us, was there? Just you and your little secret. He looked like he wanted to argue, but he didn't. Maybe because deep down, he knew I was right. So I told him, I want out. I don't know what this marriage was supposed to be, but I'm done living in a lie. He got defensive. Tried to guilt me. said I was overreacting. That real couples work through things. I said real couples don't lie for 2 straight years and call it love. After that conversation, I moved forward with filing for separation. Linda texted me a few days later, saying, "It's a shame you let something so small ruin your marriage." I laughed out loud. Small? $16,000. 2 years of dishonesty. A life I thought we were building together, treated like a joke. I didn't respond. Some people will never get it. A month later, I had moved into my own place. A small 1-bedroom, nothing fancy. But it was mine. Paid for by me. No secrets. No fake landlords. Just me and a quiet sense of peace. One day, I saw a new couple moving into Derek's apartment. It looked like he and Linda decided to rent it out for real this time. I wish them luck. But more than that, I wish the new tenants know exactly who owns the place. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you for watching. What would you do if you found out your partner was secretly profiting off you for 2 years? Let's talk about it in the comments below. I'm reading every single one. Also, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more real stories like this, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next one.